So what would be examples of that don't work well in CPG?
Email blasts typically don't work well in CPG. They feel like it's extremely spam. Direct mail definitely does not work well in a CPG. And this is, of course, unless you're reaching out to businesses. So unless you're reaching out to, I would say like office suites or, people who are at work. But when you're reaching out on a consumer level, the direct mail and email are definitely items that really fall flat. When it comes to like brand experience and participation, events are great for CPG. So setting up different events, having consumers actually, touch and feel the product, those are really well received. As far as doing it with like even like with the Canon, those were all very well received, but they're just a smaller scale. So with the CPG, it was really trying to do events that would get some kind of media attention or attraction so that the buzz kind of went national. That was the main goal there. And that was really, trying to get different kinds of, and it's growing as well, the influencer market. A lot of people are looking to, they're really looking to influencers, and that's something that we see now when it comes to CPG. Influencers really kind of tell people how to view their brands and their products. But when it came to Sprint, influencers meant nothing. Nobody really cared about an influencer, about a service. They cared more about the individual product.
So let me ask you, when as in CPG, that as you had mentioned that the influencer is an important element, which definitely have been hearing that. How in your development of your consumer journeys do you find insight into that to know like what is the relevant influencer and approach for your user?
So I'll be honest, it was extremely easy to figure this out. So really, it was looking at our demographic, and this was probably the easiest, fastest decision that we made. We would look at the demographic that we were targeting, our core target. Once we had that, we looked at what their interests were, their interests and hobbies. Once we had the interest in hobbies, you said, okay, we need to look at, so let's say if our core demographic was females in the age range of 18 to 35. Mm-hmm. One of the largest interests that we saw, and it was, really, it was scaling much higher than, I would say, like the curve, was makeup. It was makeup and beauty. So what we did then, it was really simple, was we looked at who the top influencers were for makeup and beauty, and then we really narrowed it down to say, okay, where are our core demographic consumers or prospects? Who are they looking at? So we were looking, and I mean, at this point, every influencer now has a demographic, and they all have, they can provide it to you when you ask them. So we were just looking at, we looked at maybe 5 to 10 influencers, looking at who their core demographics were, who they were marketing to, and who was viewing their different shows, whether it was on Instagram or it was on YouTube or they were posting it on any other service. We looked there and we just we started to give them our product. We started with gifting. We never paid them for doing any, to mention us. We just started giving out our product, and we gave it out to, I would say, about 50 influencers, and this was on the CPG side. We just gave them, samples of our coffee or our product. And we were hoping that they would pick it up in one of them and say thank you to us and just give us a shout out. And then I would say as the years went on, it started turning into more paid advertising where you would pay them to feature your product at some point or to mention it, but it to seem almost organic, like it wasn't a paid advertisement.
Yeah. And did you find that really effective?
In the CPG business, it was huge. With Nespresso, absolutely. It did two things. Number one, it drove home our core messaging to our demographic. So it really did a good job of raising brand awareness to start. And then the sales came, when we did really targeted local campaigns with influencers,